Uh, Try to master the tags, the HTML tags, all the way from H1 tag, that is heading tag, to P tag, to image tag, media tags, and the rest of them. We have actually mastered so many tags. And in the course of learning the HTML tag, we have also learned some basic CSS. So the idea is when we are done learning some of these building blocks and the decoration properties, we'll sit down and look at a particular type of site, and then we'll start it as a project until we finish it before we can actually say we are done with the application of HTML and CSS as front-end programming languages. Then before we bring in JavaScript as the last front-end language. So let me quickly go to the CSS section of this. It's like here, this is where we stop. So we are actually styling the field sets. Remember, the field sets is the line that that groups all the form elements. The line that group all the form elements is called the field sets, if you can still remember. So we will just continue from, let me see what I have done so far on that field set. Okay, so the next element I would like us to style is the legend. The legend. So styling the legend tag. Now, you remember the legend tag is what generated this contact. So that is what we want to start. We want to see if we can improve the appearance of this element content. So remember what I told us, that anytime you want to style, there must be a way of referencing the elements in HTML, either by its tag name or with an ID which you must have assigned, or with a class name. So for me to know whether I am to reference it as a tag or with the tag name, or as an ID element or a class element, I have to go back to the HTML structure. It's very important once in a while you go back to the structure to understand how you actually coded it. So we're talking about the legend. Let me go to, this is a legend. So it was in class. So we are going to reference it with the tag name. So I'll quickly just type legend and then declare my block. So how do I want it to appear? I want to start by defining the font size, how big or how small you want the legend to appear. So here I'm using another unit, which is called rem. It's just like the way you have centimeter, the way you have pixel, the way you have millimeter. So the rem is a unit that can also be used to measure the size of an element. So if I go back and then you see that the size has improved. So the next thing, don't forget, I once said that all these properties we are calling, they are not fixed. Your own can be something else. You can even decide to use pixel. All this, just that anybody training you will train you with a standard, but you have the privilege of changing, if possible, all the values and even using different property. So the next one is font weight. Font weight. So font weight is equivalent to font style, which is used to determine the thickness of an element or text. So I can use bold or bolder. In this case, I just want to use bold. So if I go back to the front end, you can see that it's a little bit darker compared to the way it was. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is padding. I just want to add some padding around that particular text. And I'm just going to use two values to specify the first side padding. So I'll say top and bottom, 0 padding. I don't want any padding there. Then left and right, I want padding of 10 ps. I believe you still understand the concept of padding. So it's the internal space.
Yes, sir.
Good. The internal space between the content and the box around it. So I want to change the color. And I'm still using hexadecimal method where you start with the hash and then you add some number which will automatically translate to color generation. So if you click here, so the idea is that we are trying to, like, you can choose your own color. You can choose your own color. So nothing is permanent here. Now, that is what I want. I can still decide to make it slant. That is what to italize it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say font style. So the idea is to expose it to all these CSS properties. As we are learning there and we are seeing their reaction is the best way. So if you click, you can see that what the word is slanted. So depending on how you want the users to feel or to enjoy your website. Now, the next element we want to talk to is the form rows. Form rows. So I will tell you what that represents, the form rows. Now, let's go back to the HTML structure to understand what is row. Row is just like the horizontal. Now, if you look at the layout, the structure of our form, we have the form as the first container. Inside it, we have few sets, which is meant to group all the elements of the form. Then this div to this div is a row. Then this another div here, another row horizontally. This is another row. Now each of the row represented with div, they are holding two elements, the label and the input. So when I say form row, I want to talk to these divs that are wrapping the label and the input. So that is what I meant by form rows. Now, we are going to use a CSS combinator. Remember, I told us that most time we select elements with their parent element instead of us classing, because I can go there and give and assign a uniform class to all the divs. But I am looking at that is going to be stressful. So since I have just one parent element used in that file form, there is no other place where I use form. So I can boldly say form, I will space, and then I will say div. So this kind of selection means that you are using the parent, which is the form, to select div. The communication is that should in case there is any other place I use div, this particular style should not affect other div that are not within the parent element form. Do you understand that? That is a communication.
Not really. I
Okay.
don't understand. You said it will not affect the parents' form.
Yeah, the parent is the form, right? The
Mm-hmm.
form give birth to what? Divs. There are several divs Let me take you back to the structure. Let me take you back to the structure. There are, you see, this is the form. This is the first container. All these DIVs, they are inside the form, right? All these DIVs
Yes, sir.
are holding label and input, label and input. They are all inside the form as the parent element. Now, when you say form and you say DIV, if for any reason you have another DIV outside the form, this particular style will not affect this one. Are you getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Good. That means we are saying that it is not all the div in this file, only the div that are inside what form that you are talking to. Instead of you coming here to start classing, that is why you are employing that concept to talk to those set of unique div. So that is the meaning of that form space div, which means that div is a child of form, and it's only the divs inside the form you are talking to. So now I'll quickly say display. I want them to be display. They were initially horizontal. Now I want each of them to display flex, which means that what? If you go back to the form, let me show you, you see that what? It has changed. They are displaying as individual column now. So initially the whole of it, they were taking one row, but now when you flex it, you have automatically switch it from inline to block. So the idea is that we are looking at how this form will be responsive. So now that is what that displays flex. So if you have a container and you put 2, 3 things, item or like element inside, when you display the main container flex, you are indirectly saying that all the items inside it should take each column. That is why the form strings, as you can see over there. Then if I say the direction, I can say flex direction. Flex direction, I will say column. So this display is actually to make room for the direction to be displayed. If I go back, you see what has happened now. So you display everything flex. Now you have what? Stretch them off by putting the direction that what should be column. So which means that this is one column, this is another column. It is a format that you can use to present your form. Like I said, it's not compulsory. You can leave the form the way it was without turning it to column. It depends on how you want the content to appear. Now, we can still say margin. We want to create some margins. Margin bottom. We want some margin at the bottom. So I can say margin of 15 ps. So if I go back there now, so you can see that there is now space from the outside. From the outside, between this and this, there's space. Between this and this, there's space of 15, 15, 15. You're only trying to create space so that the content will not too close to each other. That is what you are saying. It's still optional. If you want it, fine. If you don't want it, you can leave it the way it is. So the next item I want to talk to is the levers. The levers are direct component inside the div as well. So I can come here and say font weight. Sorry, I have to call lever because it's not
Guys, okay.
they are not class elements, so there's no point of. So lever can say font weight. I've used the
Wait,
font.
sorry, sir. Let me get something.
Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Okay.
This div now, I'm talking
Mhm.
about the form, like the up one before the labels.
This one.
It only affects the div inside the form.
Exactly. That is the communication like this. When you call, so you are not actually
Sir,
talking to form.
what I'm saying is that mm,
Go ahead.
you are talking to the divs inside the form.
Yes,
Like
yes.
you're talking to all of them, every
Good.
single one of them inside the form.
Inside the form,
So
yes.
what if you want to talk to only one inside the form?
Good. Now, if you want to talk to only one, then it will not compel you to must go to that very one and add what? Class or
And
ID.
class it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Do you
Okay.
understand it?
Yes, then when you now want to start it in CSS, you will not put the class.
Exactly, exactly. It's
Okay.
because I want to talk to all
Okay,
of
I
them.
understand.
And that's the reason why I have to code it that way. Okay. So now,
Okay, thank you.
now I'm still trying to fine-tune the label. Just want to improve the appearance of the label. So I'll just give it a bold, then margin bottom, also margin bottom. So I still want just 5 PS. So let me go there and check. Good. So you can see that all the label, they are now thicker than other, these are the label.
Sorry, there's something else I want to clarify. This thing
Okay,
is always confusing me.
okay.
The the padding and the margin bottom left, right, and down like up. When you say margin left,
Hmm.
you're pushing it from the left to the right or
Okay,
from the right to the left.
yes. Now,
You're pushing it when you say margin left.
this is, let me just use this shape, the one we are seeing. Remember that the margin is a concept derived from recognizing the element as box model. That is, if you have like p tag content here, and you have, let's say, h1 content here, right? The margin space is
Yes.
the space from the outside between one element and the other from the outside. So this is what? Now, between here and here, this is margin bottom. If you are talking to this element now, and you say margin bottom,
Hmm.
you are trying to create space between this one and this one. Do you
So you're
understand?
moving it upwards.
No, you are shifting the one down. You are shifting it down when you assign margin bottom to this one. That is what is to leave some
So
space at the bottom.
when you say margin bottom,
Bottom, yes.
you're moving it down.
Down, good. And based on it depends
When you say
on
margin,
bottom. It depends on the element you are focusing on. If I'm focusing on this one and I say margin bottom, it's different thing. It's not moving it. If I say margin bottom, I'm not. It's going to create space between this one and the next one coming at the bottom. But if I'm on this one and I say margin bottom, it's going to create space between this one and this one. Are you getting it from the downside?
okay.
Did you understand
What
it?
of margin left?
Margin left,
What of margin left?
good. Margin left is if there is another element here. This is the space between it here and here. Did you get it now? That is what between this, if there's another element before it, the space from the outside on the left hand side like this is the margin. If there's another element here, what would this space here become? This space.
Now, what if there's no elements? Like
Good.
in the beginning part when you explained this thing, first of all, it
Mm.
was just
One.
the paragraph. It was in the paragraph tag we're using to explain it.
Yeah.
We're using the P tag, like the notes we wrote
Yeah.
in P tag to explain it. Where you were moving the text right or left.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. And
Now,
you used margin, right?
margin, yes, because I needed
Mm.
to shift it down. I needed to shift it down. So anytime you use the word margin, you are talking about space on the
Outside the
outside
box.
of the element and another element that is outside the box between because we are seeing each of those elements as boxes. So if we are seeing this as paragraph, then we are also saying that, oh, the paragraph is in a box. So if it is in a box, there are spaces, there are 4 possible spaces around it. Either you have space by the right outside, space at the bottom outside, space by the left hand side outside, and space at the top outside. So in case any element is coming after it at the bottom, it will not merge with it. In case any element is placed by its side on the outside, it will not merge with it. The same thing. That is why you add that margin so that no elements, depending, if you say margin, just margin and you say 10, it means you have assigned 10 space for all the side, both top, bottom, right, left. And then if you say margin 10 5. It means that you are using one number to represent two sides. You should remember that concept.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is, then when you talk about padding, you're talking about the space between the write-up and the borderline. That is the inside. You're trying to like create some gap between the content and the box so that the content will not merge with the box. That is the idea of this margin thing and the padding. Hope that is clear now. I can continue, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that is the margin. You can see as I added margin now, 5 PS, you can see that what between each label, you can see reasonable space. So the idea is I want to make sure that all the write-up, all the elements are well presented in a way that it will give the user good experience. Nobody will struggle to understand the form. That is the idea. Then we want to also add color. And the color we are using hexadecimal. We are combining 3, 4 to generate a color. So that is to reduce them because we noticed that the label, they were too far bolder than other information. It's as if they were attracting too much attention. So we have to like use a color that will not be full black. That is what we just achieved now. So the next thing is we want to talk to the input, which is very important. So we are talking to the input now. The inputs, we are going to use one stone to kill 2 or more birds. So we just say we'll talk to the input, we'll talk to select, we will talk to test area if we have it. Test area, that's very one that I said you can use to create comment line, but I don't think in this
I
form.
don't have it.
Yes,
I don't have it.
but I explain it now. You still remember?
No.
Okay, so let me add it. Let me add it so that you understand it. So we have to go back to the structure. So let's say the test area is coming after, where do I bring it? Okay, let me bring it here just for us to understand. So I'll say div, div label for comments. So in case I want them to comment, and then comment, then test area. So I'll specify how many rows can be typed. That's how many lines. So I can say, okay, give me 10 lines. And then I can say how many column. That is vertical. I can say, okay, give me column of 5. So if I go back to the front end, you see the impact of the test area. Where is it here?
So I think you need to refresh the thing.
Let me see. I expected it to display, except hope is the form we are adding it. Okay. So that's me.
Sir, I saw this. I'm seeing another one from 2.html.
Where?
Like
Let me see.
in your new folder.
I want to see if are you sure this is the file? We have form.
I'm not sure this is
Oh,
the
oh,
file.
sorry. I think we are to add it to form 2, right? It's form.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's what I was
Okay,
saying. I
okay.
was saying
So
on that one.
let me take it from here to avoid me retyping. Let me just cut and then go to form 2. That is where we are working. So let me just add it here and then bring back the row attributes just to define the number of rows. I want 10 and then column attributes, column, let's say 5. Then if I go back
But
to the 5, good. So you can see it. So this is the test area. Test area is used to write multi-line. Like this input, you can only write one straight line. You cannot break it. But here you can write as many tests. You can press enter Just like if you want to create a comment in your page, you want them to, you want to get a feedback from them, you can just use this text area as your comment. So it's part of what we want to style. So let me go back. So we are using one stone, like I said, instead of calling input, text area, and select. So we will just have a way, because if I do like this, just for you to know the reason why I am going this way. So if I say width, there are several inputs that we are using to collect different data from the user. I'll take you back in a moment. Now you can see that all the inputs were affected, so long you create it with an input. Let me take you back to the structure so that you understand it. Now, this was the first input you use, and this, based on the type attribute, it means that this input is used to collect text-based data type from the user. Then you have another input somewhere here, input, which is also collecting text from the user. Then you get here, you have input type radio. So if you just say input, it will style all the content you created with input without considering the type of data they are collecting. But I don't want all of them to have that 90%. So the way I am going to say, okay, this is the type of input that I'm talking to. So I'll be using their attribute name to specify that it is not all the input, only the input with a type text. They are the ones I want to speak to. So that is the reason why I will not go this way by just saying input. Instead, I will use input selector method with their attributes. Now, see how I'm going to select it. So I'm going to simply say input and then use the square bracket. That square bracket means you have collection of input out of which you are talking to one type. So you now say, okay, how do I know which one you want to talk to? So I will say the one we type equals to text. So if I run it, and before I declare my CSS bracket, for example, and I say width, it will no longer affect all of them. If I say width, let's say 40%, so that we can observe it. So if I go back to the front end, you can see that only two inputs were affected. 1, 2, because they are the only inputs where the structure, the type is what? Text. Let me show you here. This is it. This is one type text. This is another one type text. This one is input, but the type is radio. This one is input, but the type is date. This one is another input, but the type is checkbox. So if I want to talk to only this input without affecting other input, I will say what? Input select type equals to checkbox. Are you following?
Yes, sir.
Good. So now, based on that, I just called only that one because I just want to show you how it works. But I'm going to select them using group. That is what? Select 2 or more of them at the same time and give them the same appearance. So this is how I'll be selecting it. So I will put a comma here after this set. Then I will now do again input, then select, input select type equals to date. You can decide to quote them. There is no cause for alarm. You can put them in quote like this, but whether you put them in quote or not, they will still work. So depending on you. So you can do like this and then use comma. So until you finish calling all the set of input type before you bring in your CSS declaration. So I'm still calling them. So I still want to also talk to input type password if we have password, but I don't think we have password in that form. But let's see if we can go and add it later. So type equals to password then comma as well, and then another input type input type equals to date. Okay, we have written date equals to email. Email, if we have it, comma, then another input type, select type, number, if we have it. If we don't have it, I'll check. Number. Now, remember that I mentioned input. We are selecting some input, select, and test area. So I'll bring comma here. Then after comma, I'll bring in test area and then put a comma. Then I'll bring in select. So after the very last one, before you put your CSS block. So if you write any CSS inside this, it means that you are automatically talking to all of these selectors. So if I say what I want here is I want some padding of 10 ps. So if I go back to the form, you see that the input box, the height has increased. You can see, and it's affecting all those ones that you selected. Are you following? You can see it now. This is for,
Yes, sir.
it's for date and good. Now, if you come here now and say, okay, you want to change the border line style and colors, I will say border. As usual, you say the thickness of it, for example, 1 ps. The type of line you want to use, it could be solid, which means smooth line. And then the color, I want to also calculate it with hexadecimal. Hash CCC will give me a color. So if I go back there and then you see that the color has reduced, I don't want it to be too obvious, so I have to blend with the diffuse set color. So now we are still improving the appearance of this selected item. Now fonts, I want to enhance the font size a little. So the font size, I can say 14 ps. Don't forget, I say all these are not fixed. Your work can be 13, your can be 10. Then border radius. Border radius, of course, is to add curve to the corners. So I can just say, okay, after all, the diffuse set line is also having some border radius. So border radius of, let's just say 6 ps will be enough. If it's not, you can add. So you can see the radius. So it's making the form look more user-friendly and very professional. So I also want to add transition border. This one is optional. Transition, I will just say border. It's optional, but let me see. Border specifies transition is animation property. When you talk about motion, maybe the response of it, 3 seconds, and then with ease. So when we start dealing with the advanced CSS, you understand this. Now, we want to add a border shadow in order to make it to stand out. Border shadow of, let's say the same 0.3 seconds, then with ease as well. So now, because at the end of the day, we would like to give focus to some of these items. So if you select this, we want it to display a kind of a different appearance so that somebody will know that, oh, this is the one I'm focusing on. So we just want to, all these, they are optional. You can do away with them. They are not really that important at the moment. So I can say input focus, just like the way we add what is it called? Hover effect. That is when somebody hovers on it, we want a kind of different appearance display. So I will quickly say I'm talking to this set of items that I want to display different focus appearance. So I will say input, then focus, input focus. I'll put a comma. I'm also talking to select focus. It's select item focus. Select item focus. And then the next thing is, these are the only two items I want to give focus. Then I will say the focus, the border line, the border color, rather, the border color, just will say hyphen, border color is a property. So I'm also using hexadecimal method 7B FF as a color. So if we come back here, once we turn off, we are going to turn off this border line so that to allow the focus line to come off. So let's see. Box shadow. Box shadow, we want a kind of shadow reflection in order for each of them to stand out. Once we get the effect, you understand it. So I'll say 0 space, and then 5 ps. 5 ps, then generating the color with what? RGBA. RGBA, you should remember this logic of calculating color. RGBA, then I would like 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 5, 5, that is should be RGBA. So we need to add, okay, yeah, the alpha value is there, then 0.3. 0.3. Now, for us to see the appearance of this, we'll say that, okay, by default, the outline should be none so that we can see all these effects when the user focus on the item. So you can see it now. This is the shadow. So whenever you click on an input, you see that shadow, you see you are no longer getting what you were getting. Let me go back and take off this. So sometimes the best way you know the impact of any property is to turn it off and then observe it. You can see that it's showing the default focus, which is black. So in as much this one is still active, it will not allow the one you are defining to be active. So that is why I turn off the default by adding this so that to give room for my own to show. So you can see anyone and select, I'm getting this appearance as a way of knowing that, oh, I am currently in this input. I hope you are still following.
I am, sir.
Okay, so the next one is the field set, sorry, the file type, because we have not spoken to that one. The file input, I'll show you from the HTML section. Now, this is what we are talking about. All this while we have been talking to other input, but we have not spoken to the one we said file. We have not spoken to this one. If you go to the front end now, you see that what is not spoken to, the whole of this. So that is the one I want to address now. Now, I can say I will use that same selector so that it will know the exact one I'm talking about. Select type equals to file, and then before I declare my CSS block, so I will say for this one, padding, add just some padding. We don't want to talk much on this, so 5 ps. So let me,
with friends.
Okay.
No, sir, I'm sorry.
So you can see that there's little space now. So if you want to know, like I just advise you now, if you want to know whether the property you just assigned actually imparted it, just look at it now, then go back there, remove this, turn it off, go back, you see the weight, you see that there was a movement. Then if you bring it back and then go back again, and observe. That is how you know what each of them are doing. So if I say, if the 5 is too small, if I increase it to 10 and go back, you will notice that what? I have more space. So it's more user friendly. So that is for that. Then for the radio button, let's see whether we are okay with them, the way they are arranged. We are okay with them like this, fine. If you are not, we can still touch them. But let me go to the
Yes.
let
Sorry,
me go
excuse me,
to
sir. Yes, mommy. Sente un momento.
So I will just explain, just go through the video and fill it up. So we are talking to the button input. That is, if I take you back to the form element, this is the div that is wrapping two inputs representing our button. One is for the console, one is for the register. So we are using the parent element to access them. Now, what I have done so far here is, this is where I was talking to, this is where I'm talking to the reset. This is where I'm talking to the submit. And as you can see here, these are the two buttons. So I also reduced the width, but I feel that I should move these two buttons to the center. So if I'm going to move them to the center, I am going to use the container, which is this. So I will reduce the width of this container and push everything inside to the center. So what I will simply do is this. I will just say dot buttons. I will reduce the width of that container because it's a block element from 100% to like, let's say 60%. So let's see if that has reduced. Now I will float it to the center. So I will say margin, then I will just use the auto value. So now if it doesn't go, I'll use, let me push it gradually. I can say margin from the left hand side, margin left, push it by 20%. By 20%, let's say, okay. So it's not moving because I believe, let me see if we are actually talking to, okay, so made mistake. So it's just button, not buttons. It's just button, not buttons. So which means that the mistake is from here. If I have to remove, yes, if I check again. Okay, so the move. So I can say that it's not yet at the middle. So let me margin left. So let me make it 50% so that it can go to the center. Then I can increase the width from 60%. That is the width here. I can increase this width from 40% to like 60. And then also here 60. Then if I check it, okay, so it's better. So I need to, is the width here, the button, the percentage is too much. Let me put it at 40%. Then we check it. Okay, so this is how we will end it. So just go over the video. Make sure that before the next class, you have replicated all this. Your form should look beautiful like this or even more. Okay, so we can actually specify the color of the write-up coming inside the boxes. So if we want to do that, we can just say input because we are talking to all of them. I can just say here input and say color, let's say this. So if I go back now and I write anything to take that, expected to take that color, let me see. Sorry, I didn't complete my input. So if I go back, I write anything that is coming inside any element you created with the input tag, we take that color. If you also want to give them background color, you declare your background color. So let's say background color black. I can state black, and then if I go back, you see that all the input we have color. So you can actually talk to them differently. Then even this, since this is black, this color combination might not be good, so you can change the background color as you want. So you can just come here and where is that place where we're talking to those items? So you can just change the background color to black as well, or something very close to black, so that to look more unique. So this is where we draw the curtain. So see you in the next class.